Today, I want to talk about money and I want to talk about burnout and explain to you how the limiting beliefs that keep burnout in place, that fatigue, that exhaustion, that got to work hard, are the same beliefs that keep that financial scarcity and that limitation in place. We know that when people do burnout, they have a massive, massive to-do list and they will push themselves through hardship and stress to be able to get things done. It's that belief there that, yeah, you got to work hard and you got to work hard for money that often keeps them in that financial scarcity as well as that burnout loop. But let me go into more detail about what you can do to access that solution. So the truth is every single one of us is motivated by either working towards pleasure or away from pain. And this motivation here is a very, very deep-seated unconscious belief and a meta program that you've got. And if you've got that in place to be motivated away from pain, then you are going to feel that oomph of stress and it's like, oh, now I take action. Compared to the person who's motivated towards pleasure, is that person who knows what they want and they will take action based on looking towards the vision they have for the future, not the person who's looking over their shoulder at the pain of the past and going, how quickly can I get myself away from that? So as a quick example, and I've used this in other videos, is that person who gets their car serviced. Do you get your car serviced to avoid the breakdown and the potential hassles? Are you motivated by the fear and the stress and the inconvenience? Or do you get your car motivated for that smooth ride and the efficiency and the desire to get you to where you want to go? That's going to give you a very quick hint into what's going on at that deep unconscious level. So I ask you, what's driving your actions? Are you moving towards what you want, that vision that you have for your future? Or do you actually take action to avoid stress? Again, people with burnout will often take action. They will say yes to things when they mean no because they want to avoid that confrontation. They will feel guilted into helping somebody, seeing that person potentially struggling and, okay, I'll step in. People who do burnout are often motivated to not be shamed or judged for doing the wrong thing according to somebody else. And again, it's always this constant energy of looking to the other person, draining the energy and, yeah, living according to other people's expectations. So then let's have a look at how the mind works within this motivation piece. Imagine that you are financially comfortable with 10,000 in the bank. Come up with whatever figure that you want depending on your finances. But for this example, imagine that you're financially comfortable with $10,000 in the bank. And then bills start to come in and then suddenly your balance starts to drop down to $4,000. As you see your bank balance coming down to that lower level, you're going to feel that stir of disconnect and that stir of uncomfortable feelings, the trigger of fear, the worrying about running out of money, the stress kicks in, and then the motivation kicks in. Even though you've got burnout, it's like, I will hustle, I'll do extra work, I'll push hard, whatever I can to rebuild that comfort level and claw my way back to that $10,000. So it's forever that sort of bungee jump yep, I'm always motivated when things are hard and things are stressful. But what did it cost you energetically and emotionally? What did it cost you to wait for the stress to be so high that you took action? Because I can tell you now that your body, your mind, that pressure, the pressure to not disappoint others, the pressure of what if I run out, the fear of judgment, the shame. Again, that is its own cycle of burnout and health concerns. It might not just be fatigue, it might be back issues and gut issues and headaches, from pushing yourself so hard, again, based on that stress. But let's say that you surpass that goal, like you're comfortable at 10,000. Let's say that you surpass that goal. You actually hit that $16,000. Now, logically, this should give your body some relief. This should give yourself a sense of security, freedom, a chance to slow down, a chance to prioritize what's important to you. But you're motivated by stress. So things are going to feel off. Like you're going to feel that skin crawling kind of adrenaline, like, oh gosh, you know, even though I've got that financial gap to be able to rest and recover and restore, it's going to feel uncomfortable, and you're actually going to find yourself in an unfamiliar situation where you can rest. And this is where you start to actually self-sabotage, and your bank account will start to come down to that familiar level of like that $10,000. Now, when we look at this metaphor here, this example, we know that being motivated by stress and this constant up and down energy is not going to be sustainable to hit that 30,000 or that 50,000. You're going to find yourself like super duper stressed, motivated, burnout, and then come crashing back down. So even though, you have these financial goals, there's this piece again within your unconscious mind, the beliefs. They're called meta programs. They're much deeper than beliefs themselves, that this is what I'm comfortable with, and this is what will motivate you to make those decisions with your energy and your finances. Now, okay, what's going on with those meta programs, those deep-seated beliefs? What's going on with that? Well, at a really core human level, we all have the need to fit in, to belong, to matter. And this is exactly why we look to others, like, to avoid that shame or to avoid that fear or to avoid the judgment, because we have this deep-seated need to belong to that tribe. And growing up, you may have been taught that you have to work hard for money, that financial success doesn't come easily. You may have seen your caregivers work hard and show you that is how you survive in this world. And this has pretty much shaped your identity of who you are. Now, again, if that is your identity, people will go to war for their identity. Like, people will really hold on tight. If that's who they believe themselves to be, that you have to work hard for money, that I'm a hard worker, all the things, this is going to be a really deep-seated anchor point belief that is going to drive every decision that you make and every way that you pour out your energy. So even at that $16,000, when you boost your money up, you're going to find yourself feeling pretty uncomfortable, not because you've got the money in the bank, but you're going to start to notice that you're going to trigger other people's insecurities, their judgments. And because there's such an emphasis on needing to belong to the tribe and wanting that comfort to fit in, the moment that you feel people being fake with you, or that insecurity or their judgments, their jealousy, it's going to be another reason why you dial down your finances. Like, oh gosh, really? So of course, yes, you can do all the things to be able to step into that confidence and to be able to own, that financial success. But unless you do that deep inner work to work out, okay, your identity, and allowing yourself to come up to to elevate, to move to a different level, to be comfortable with everybody else being uncomfortable, unless you do that work, this is where that bungee jump, the ups and downs of the money are going to keep playing out. And you can see then, right, if you are already feeling burnt out, exhausted, needing the support, doing whatever you can to fit in, to matter, to be heard, like I'm exhausted, somebody help, then you reach that financial success. Now they're insecure, they step away. Like, can you see how this is just, oh, what a mess. Now, a big point of that is because you're also, again, looking to them for that validation and approval. At no point am I suggesting that we want to be disrespectful to those people, but this underlying piece where you're looking to somebody else for approval, to get that acceptance, the validation, that's the thing that's running your battery down low. So yes, you may value wealth, you may value financial freedom. On one hand, yes, valuing that financial freedom, but on the other hand, your identity doesn't align with that if you've had that kind of past where you have to work hard for money. And this is where that tension arises because there's a misalignment, and this is where your self-worth starts to erode. On one hand, it's like, yes, I want that financial freedom, I value it, but that's not who I am. And you'll get this kind of feeling when you step into a luxury kind of shop. You'll feel that imposter syndrome, or like feel like, I've got Pretty Woman in my mind right now. But you can feel that sense of judgment and that you don't belong there if you stepped into a luxury shop. If you identify with somebody who's got more of that financial limitation, and automatically it's like, yeah, this isn't my identity, right? So again, you can continue to use sheer willpower and energy to try to stay on top, but this is only going to lead to that mental fatigue. And yeah, the adrenaline kicks in, the stress, the struggle. So absolutely, we need to come back to understanding what is motivating our decisions. Are we doing that out of stress, survival, um, because if we do that, if our motivation is based on stress and survival, it's so strange. We're going to actually motivate in more stress and struggles. We're going to manifest in more stress and struggles to get that peak of motivation to get things done because we're a doer. And this is where that's that competition, looking over your shoulder, where are the problems, where are the fears, where are the worst case scenario. This is that loop that keeps you into that poverty or that scarcity side of things. Now, I know I've shared an enormous amount of information and hopefully it's resonating. I can tell you now from somebody, myself, who have relied on food banks and who have relied on, well, living in a caravan, basically being homeless with my daughters. I did that work. I did that work to look at, okay, what is motivating me? Am I operating from stress, or am I operating from the vision that I have for the future? I did that inner work and then paid cash for my home, paid cash for my cars. This stuff works, and I'm very, 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 very passionate about understanding how powerful our minds are, understanding our self-worth and what is motivating us. Now, I've got to say, if you're curious for more and want more of that personal insight, I do have that Burnout Quiz, and you'll see a link below. And this is going to give you more of an insight into what's motivating you, what's happening with your boundaries, what's happening with your emotions at work and in relationships. And this will give you a very quick snapshot of the path and the solution moving forward, so that you can not only relieve the burnout, but start moving in that financial success that your intuition is craving. I'm Claire Chancellor. I'm passionate about talking about this, and I look forward to our next conversation. Bye, guys.